So next up, we have Dr. Julie Hasson. And so, Julie, I'm going to have you unmute because you have to talk about something we all need right now, which is resilience. Resilience. But you guys are going to love Julie. First of all, very good friend of mine, and she's very practical with the tools she provides. So, yay, I'm glad you're here. Welcome.
Charlie, Josh, I'm so happy to see you and happy to see everybody on this webinar. I've been listening to the other sessions. I'm so excited. First of all, let me say, yes, I'm a certified resilience trainer. I'm a resilience coach for teachers, but I don't usually use the word resilience because aren't we tired of being told to be more resilient? So I'm finding some resistance to that word, and I feel it too. So I've been talking about recharge and thinking about, like, we all keep really good track of our phone battery. We know how much charge is on our phone battery. We plug it in when it's getting low. But I realized for me, I don't monitor my own battery, my educator battery as well. And I certainly don't always know how to recharge it, especially in the middle of a busy school day when my energy is getting a little low. So that's the center of my work. And I'm so excited to talk to both of you about it because it is so related to student behavior. The more engaged we are in our work, the more energy we have, the more we can manage that student engagement and behavior.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, you guys keep hearing all about this theme of we're going to recharge ourselves. I love that word. I love that you did that. And I love that you recognize that that is one of those words that some of the teachers might sit in the PD seat, right? And roll their eyes because we do that. We use these words like, I'm all about trauma, but they don't want to hear that anymore. So I love that you're adapting to what their needs are. So good job. That's awesome. But yeah, and so we're going back to the person who needs to show up recharged so that those kids can be recharged and engaged. All right. So you all, Julie is a professor, researcher, of course, a trainer, and helps through all of her books and resources. So we're gonna dive into that and a TEDx talk. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much speaker. So how can educators impact students' lives and then still have a life themselves?
Oh, I love that. And it's my favorite thing to say to educators is, like, it's really possible to impact students' lives and still have a life. In fact, it's essential because if we think about our most impactful teachers, like I talk about my first grade teacher, Mrs. Russell, all the time. If you've heard me talk or read anything I've written, the first thing that comes out is Mrs. Russell. But Mrs. Russell had a family and had hobbies and had this life. And she was so energetic and interesting because she brought this full life into the classroom. And I often think if Mrs. Russell was like depleted and discouraged and just checking off the boxes and getting through the day, I would not remember her the way I do, like all of these decades later. And I think for all of us, if we think about the teachers we remember, the teachers who really impacted our lives, they were recharged. They brought some energy and some life into the classroom. So to teach well, we have to be well, and we have to kind of debunk that myth that to serve our students means we have to sacrifice ourselves.
Wow, that's a big deal. I mean, it really is. And you did this project, the Teacher Recharge Project. How did you start that, or why did you start that?
When I first started as a researcher, so I went from teacher to principal to professor. And as a new professor, I needed a research focus. And I really thought about what question I wanted to answer. And that question was around teacher impact. So, what do we say and do as teachers that makes this lasting impact on students' lives? And I worked on that project for about 5 years. I interviewed anyone who would talk to
Wow.
me about their most impactful teachers, collected their stories, wrote a book called Safe, Seen, and Stretched in the Classroom, gave a TED Talk. Like, I was loving finding out about teacher impact, but at that same time, realizing that some of our most impactful teachers were leaving the profession. And many who were staying were struggling. So it's hard to study teacher impact when teachers are not feeling that joy and satisfaction in their work. And I have to say, for me, I had a couple of those bathroom floor moments after 30 years as an educator, like on a morning thinking, I don't know if I can keep doing this. So we started to study resilience, and I became a certified resilience trainer. And I thought, if I can figure this out for me, how I can keep my battery charged, how I can stay engaged, how I can find that joy and satisfaction in the work, then I can teach it to other people. And that's where the Teacher Recharge Project came from.
Okay, so what is their biggest takeaway there? Because people want to walk away and they want to have a tool, a skill, a strategy they can use tomorrow to recharge or to stay recharged. What can they do?
So many. But to start, I think this is the place to start. It's with awareness and intention, because we feel like we're playing whack a mole all day sometimes. And at the end of the day, we're exhausted, but we don't feel like we've accomplished anything.
Hmm.
So just being aware of what does charge my battery and what does deplete me. I would start there, just cultivating that awareness. I love to think about like a battery audit. Can you go through a day, a couple of days, maybe a few days, just noticing what you're doing, what's happening around you, and where that charge is on your educator battery? So for me, in terms of charge, like it always has something to do with students. Light bulb moment, inside joke with a kid, like those student moments are big chargers. Colleagues, like collaborating with a colleague is a huge charger. I love that you put that in the chat, Charlie. So if you know what some of your chargers are, please drop them in the chat. Share with somebody. Nature is a charger for me, music. So I know when my battery is getting a little low, there's certain songs I can put on that are chargers. Um, Lots of things. So knowing what your chargers are helps. Also knowing what your depleters are helps. For
Hmm.
me, too many meetings in a day, definitely a depleter, especially meetings where I'm not sure what the purpose is or there's no clear outcome. But there are also things I do that I have control over that deplete me.
Hmm.
Procrastination is a big depleter for me. So I've come up with some strategies to deal with that. Rumination, I'm a world class ruminator. I can spiral down with that same thought for a long time, but I know that's depleting. Not getting enough sleep, huge depleter for me. So knowing those chargers and depleters helps us do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And even though they're pretty unique for each of us, there's some universal chargers, and those are the big areas or components we focus on in the teacher recharge work.
Yeah, I am seeing that in the comments too. You're so attentive.
Look at
You always do that. It's
NCMLE.
nice.
We
Yeah.
love our NCMLE family. A positive conversation with a colleague, a V8 splash. Yes, a little caffeine. I mean, sometimes a cup of coffee, it doesn't hurt,
Yes.
friends. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you brought something up that I know a lot of people struggle with. I talk about anxiety a lot, and you just talked about the ruminating thought, the spiraling.
Yeah.
And you said you had a strategy, so I'm not gonna like let you get away with not saying what that
Oh
is.
yeah. I mean, I've
What do
had
you
to
do?
have strategies for both of those depleters, for both ruminating and procrastinating, because I know those are big depleters for me. Ruminating, all right, this is gonna sound really woo-woo, maybe a little wacky, but trust me, it works. So there are a couple things I do, but my favorite thing, if I'm ruminating over the same thought over and over, I will visualize it typed out on a little slip of paper, and I will see it blow away in the wind.
Ooh.
Some people put it in a balloon and watch the balloon float away, but that visualization, for some reason, breaks that rumination cycle for me. The other thing I will do if I'm struggling with ruminating is kind of interrogate it. What am I thinking? Is it true? How do I know it's true? What are the other possibilities? So, those two things, depending on what it is, are super helpful for me.
That's awesome. Well, there is a neurological basis for that. There's neuroscience behind it. And I know you do a lot of research, Julie. So, guys, everything she's saying is actually very research based, but it's
I
true.
love
And
that you validated that, Charlie.
yeah,
Thank you.
well, I want people to know who they're listening to because I know you would never say it, but it's really super helpful. Okay, so here's another thing. Here's another thing that can deplete us is when people cross our boundaries and just
Oh,
zap us of the energy. So, what
yes.
boundaries can people set to protect their energy and how can they keep those?
I should have added this to my depleters. So I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I tend to say yes to everything really quickly. I've learned to slow down my yes. a little bit. But the boundaries, I heard this quote and I wrote it down so I could say it to you all accurately. Boundaries are the distance at which I can love both you and me at the same time. And it
Mm,
didn't have an attribution when I read that quote.
wow.
So I will find out where it came from. But I love that so much because one of the most depleting things for me is a resentful yes. So I've said
Mm,
yes. I'm going to stick to my commitment, but I'm going to be resentful and grouchy about it. So I have learned to be really careful with the yeses, and boundaries help. So we can set boundaries with our time. And I think teachers absolutely need to think about that. When am I available to check email? When am I going to leave work at the end of the day? Just kind of making those decisions ahead of time. And if we are really clear with people, no one has a problem with that. I tell my grad students I'm unplugged on Sundays, and a lot of times they're working on the weekend because they're teachers, they're in graduate school. But when I tell them, listen, guys, I'm unplugged on Sundays, you can email me, but I'm not going to answer till Monday. As long as they know what to expect, like that clarity is really essential, they're fine. But the other thing with boundaries is kind of deciding how much energy you're going to give to someone or something. So, do you know those colleagues who and sometimes maybe people and the students or families we serve, we get pre-aggravated. Do you know what I mean? So like
yes.
before the person even does the thing that's aggravating, I'm already aggravated.
Mm,
So part of that boundary is making that choice. How much energy am I going to give this person? Because we all have those folks in our life who, make us aggravated before we're even aggravated. So you get to choose how much energy are you going to give this student, this mom, this colleague, and protect your energy. So if we're talking about our batteries, the best thing we can do is set those boundaries around our time, our energy, even our resources. How much of my resources am I going to give to someone or something?
yeah. And so, what you all don't know too, probably, is Julie works with educational leaders, like preparing them, preparing principals, aspiring principals, but aspiring superintendents too. So, you have probably a lot of these conversations about
Mhm.
how to protect your time when there are so many people who need you. So, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a parent, whether you're a superintendent or a building leader, school counselor, school social worker, oh my goodness, the list goes on.
Anybody, I mean,
A para,
everybody,
everybody, a school
any
bus
kind of,
driver.
I like to call it, we used to call it helping professionals, but I kind of like to call it human centered work. Teacher, counselor, nurse, coach,
Yes.
even a caregiver for little ones or aging parents. We
Mhm.
have to protect our own batteries so that we can be well and be well enough to help others. Hey Charlie, I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at Dr. Tracy. She says, I'm interested in hearing the procrastination remedy. I don't know if I have
Ooh,
a remedy, but I've got practices. So I'm
great,
happy to share those. For
great.
me, procrastination is two things. Often, if I'm procrastinating, it's not that I'm avoiding the task, I'm avoiding the feelings associated with the task. So it may be some fear associated with the task because it's a big task and I'm a little unsure about my capability related to that thing. And I'm like, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I don't like to not do things well. So I may be procrastinating for that reason. It may be because the task is just really feels one of those tasks that just feels like it's a boring compliance focused task. I have avoided doing this security training for my job for a couple weeks now because I know it's going to be an hour of things that feel a little boring to me but important. So it could be avoiding those feelings, fear, boredom, whatever it is. But most of the time when I'm procrastinating, it's because I have this false belief that future me is more energetic and capable than present me. So I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow because I'll have more time and energy, or I'll be ready. And future me is never more capable or energetic than the me right now.
Hmm.
So I've learned to love future me enough to not put that on her and to say
Oh,
future me is going to be so grateful that I got this done. So if that makes sense to anyone else, please use that. But those two things have helped me procrastinate less. So thinking about, am I avoiding feelings, and let's just have those feelings and then move on. And am I overestimating future me, and let me love her enough to not put that burden on her.
Whoa, what a great strategy. Like, what a great opportunity to just be present in the moment and catch yourself and then think, I need to protect my future me. I
Yeah.
care about her. That, you guys, that is a great strategy. I love it. I love that. Good job. And I think Dr. Tracy likes it too. She said,
Oh,
Dr.
thanks,
Tracy said,
Dr.
thank you.
Tracy. I think Dr. Tracy and I could have coffee and really relate on all of these, all
Yeah.
of these things.
Okay. So let's talk about routines because this can help. And I'd love to hear your perspective. How or what really routines can help teachers recharge?
Hmm. I mean, routines help in so many ways. One is it removes some decision making, because one of the things that can wear us out is all of the millions of decisions we have to make every day. So if we have some things that are routinized, then those are less decisions we have to make. For me, the most important routine is the evening routine, because sleep is essential for all of the things we have to do. And we know on those days when we didn't get a good night's sleep, how much harder our work is. For me, that have less patience, tend to get a little snappy. So if I have an evening routine that promotes better sleep, that's good for me. So I turn off all electronics about an hour before I go to sleep. I've got a routine with some journaling. I try to celebrate some small wins from that day, because I tend to, in my head before bed, go over the things that I feel like I didn't do well. So I'm forcing myself to say, what went well today? And spend a little time with that. Drink some non caffeinated tea and just relax into letting the day go and going to sleep. So I think that evening routine of all my routines is probably the most important.
Yeah. And science backs that up too. I mean, it's hard because we get in these routines. We feel like we have to be available for everybody all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not true. And I do love that strategy, the brain dump, like just dump that stuff
Yes,
out of your
Tracy.
head.
Get
But
it
it's
out of your
hard.
head.
It's hard when you don't have like a tangible thing to do that with. Sometimes you need that guidance. Sometimes we can remember when we're going to bed, like, okay, let's get it out of our mind. But this is
Yeah.
what's so genius about what you've got. And this is a free resource. You all, if you have not checked this out, we're going to put this link in there in just a second. But can you tell people like what you created to help them get this out of their mind, to help them organize their thoughts, the journal? Tell us more.
Yeah. Oh,
Love
so
it.
I took all my favorite journal prompts. So I journal as part of my morning routine, which I'm not always as consistent on, because some days I'm up on a plane early or things get interrupted, but also my evening routine. So in the morning, I like to set an intention for the day, because then I determine my own success for the day. And it also guides my actions, my interactions, my decisions, if I know what my intention is. So there's some prompts from morning journaling about intention. And then there's some evening prompts about thinking about those small wins and things that didn't go the way we hoped. What changes do we want to make? So it helps us start the day with intention and then wrap up the day with some reflection, which are great ways to grow, but also, as Tracy said, great ways to kind of brain dump, to get things out of our head and onto paper. So that 10-minute pause journal, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening at most is what it will take you, unless you want to spend longer. But it's a great part of my routine, and I love to share it with you.
That's awesome. So, who can this benefit the most?
In terms of journaling, you mean, Charlie, or just paying attention, recharging with awareness and intention?
Well, that's a good question because when I'm thinking about the journaling, I'm thinking about people who may need to take a chance to do something different. And sometimes we think of people trying to get stuff out of their head, but they don't like to write. So I'm wondering if this will work for different kinds of people who haven't tried it before.
You know, the thing that I have heard about it is it's not, some people think journaling like morning pages, like the artist's way, where you have to fill up a page and you have to write and write and write. These are really quick prompts that you could probably answer with a sentence. So
Hmm.
one thing I like about this journal is it's quick, because we are educators. You know, we're up and out the door, and at the end of the day, we're pretty tired. So you need something that's a quick, easy way to access that intention and that reflection. I think it benefits I can't think of anyone it doesn't benefit. So, like we said, in this human centered work where we're constantly kind of other focused, we're focused on the
Yeah.
people we're serving, we're paying attention to their needs, trying to help them grow. This is an opportunity to be a little inward focused, self focused. What are my needs? What would help me grow? What charges my battery? How am I doing? I don't think we stop enough, even morning, evening, but in the middle of the day, and just check in with ourselves and say, how am I doing? I mean, we're people who push through, and we push through and we push through and we're getting things done. This pause, whether it's a pause to write in the journal or a pause to just check in, is so important.
Wow. What a great gift this would be for a principal to give to a staff, and then give them time at a staff meeting to do some of these prompts. One of these prompts. I mean, my goodness. How else can leaders, even of a classroom, of their family, of a building, how else could they use this, do you think?
Journaling, I think it would be a great thing to start a staff meeting with and then let people share, like in partners or small groups.
Good idea.
What was your intention for the day? I love this, is my favorite thing to do at a staff meeting. I do it at my training sometimes, I do it in my grad class all the time. Do you know that song? It's Rufus and Shaka Khan. I'm not going to sing it, but it's Tell Me Something Good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to play that song. We do it kind of like musical share where you're up and walking, and when it stops, you turn to somebody near you and you just tell them a good thing that's happened. I just did it in grad class last night. Tell me something good that's happened so far this school year. So just pausing to talk about the good things that are happening. We don't do that enough. Oh, Josh,
Yeah. Do you see
you don't
Josh?
want me
Josh
to
said,
sing it,
now
Josh.
you have to sing it,
You
Julie.
would lose you would lose everybody on the webinar if I started singing.
That's hilarious. Okay, so there's just so much here, you guys, but unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of time. So I want to make sure people know how to connect with you, how to find you. I mean, you'd be a great keynote for the next event if you
Oh,
guys
you're
need
so
to,
sweet,
yes, you
Charlie.
guys need
Thank
this TLC. And so how can people connect with you? And then is there any other project or anything else you need to tell them about?
Yeah, the best way to find me is on teacherrecharge.com. The blog is there. We try to update that every week. There's lots of resources in there that are free. And one thing that's in there, and we didn't talk about this yet, Charlie, and I don't know if I've even told you this yet, but
Uh-uh.
I have 5 copies
Oh,
of Pause, Ponder, and Persist to give
oh,
away. I will drop them in the mail. So I'm thinking last time we did this, they emailed you. And I
yeah.
want to say this subject might have been like Julie's session in the subject line. And then they said one thing they're going to do to keep their battery charged. And then you did the drawing and sent me the 5 names and addresses. Is that still the best way to do it?
Yes. Okay. I'm putting this in. If you guys can't hear me, my microphone is so close to my keyboard, it's probably so loud. Okay.
It's like that
Josh
cat
knows.
meme. It's just like
Josh knows.
I see
Tells
her
me all
on
the
there
time.
typing. I'm going to say it again while you type it
Okay.
because maybe that will help. So I have 5 copies of Pause,
Wow.
Ponder, and Persist. And all of the book resources are on the Teacher Recharge website /books. So on the books tab. But if you will email Charlie and put Julie's session in the subject line, and then in your email, tell her one thing you're committed to doing to keeping your educator battery charged, we will give away 5 copies of the book.
Wow.
I will
Okay.
put them in the mail.
Yes, you guys, that's 5 different copies. So you better send it to me because that's a really good chance you're gonna get that. We're gonna do a random draw. I've read the book myself. It is it's so like simplified in a way that's really hard to do based on research. So again, Julie's done the research, put it in a very tangible, easy to digest way. The pause, ponder, persist approach will absolutely help you. I use it actually. I reference it in my therapy sessions with people just to keep them grounded.
You're
Yeah,
so
so many
sweet.
applications. So many. Okay. Well, any last thoughts? Anything else that we need to share? I know we have there's so much more you could do. What's one final thing you want to leave everybody with?
I want to leave everybody with my unequivocal belief that you really can impact lives and still have a life. So please, I know honeymoon time is over for a lot of us in this school year, and things are getting hard. We got a while till break. Please take care of you. Hydrate, drink some water, eat something green, get outside, go for a walk, and just check in with your mental health, your physical health, and make those adjustments as you need, because you really need to be well in order to do this work well. And you deserve to be a happy, healthy human while you're doing this work. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Charlie and Josh. This was so much fun. Reach out to me if I can help you.
Absolutely. Definitely. Thank you so much, Julie. Appreciate
Yeah.
you.